Welcome to Codex, History of Video Games. My name's Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And today we have reached our final episode about the book Jacked, the Outlaw Story of Grand Theft Auto by Kushner. Jared Kushner? No. Wrong
David
Kushner. David Kushner. There's so many Kushners in my brain. You got Jared Kushner, not related at all. David Kushner, actual writer of this. And then I always want to say Tony Kushner, the award-winning playwright. All of these are very, very, very different people.
Too many Kushners.
Too many Kushners,
everybody. Yeah, honestly, is this our longest series? It can't be. It just feels like it's been very long.
It might be.
Probably because we've had to take breaks for life events.
Yeah, I think in terms of like absolute time, definitely. Because we took breaks for life events. We took a few breaks to talk about other stuff too. And so now this is where we're at.
Yep. So now we're here. Okay. Well, I'm going to start us off today with chapter 25, which is the last official chapter called Finale. And Finale starts off with the production of GTA 4. This time, Sam and Dan Houser wanted to get the experience of an Eastern European immigrant coming to America, and this meant that the Rockstar team would have to do some research.
Oh, they are good at that.
Holy buckets did they do research. Yeah, so we're talking about hiring an ex-cop to guide them through the Brighton Beach neighborhood of New York to hang out in bars and nightclubs. And that was only they went to dangerous places to kind of figure this out. And they know that they get in trouble for taking pictures a lot. People are stop taking a picture of me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a big part of this. But they actually went to get the most realistic digital recreation of New York City they could. That was their goal, right? And they could finally do this because of the new jump from low definition 3D to high definition 3D. And they specifically used something called the Euphoria engine. And this engine was actually built by two graduates of the zoology department at Oxford University. And it allowed them to combine this is a quote, to quote, combine a fluid mix of artificial intelligence and biomechanics. Characters could be built around skeletons true to human anatomy, from the way their muscles flexed down to their nervous systems. End quote.
Okay.
So this new engine and technological jump between the 6th and 7th generation of video game consoles allowed them to add so much more detail to the whole world, and then also their storytelling, right? And spoilers, they pull it off. They do a really good job with, and this is the Grand Theft Auto that I've played the least probably, but I even was like, wow, this city looks very alive, when you're playing it. So the story this time follows Serbian national Niko Bellic as he moves to Liberty City. And Sam and Dan Houser were very interested in Niko's story because he felt like a fish out of water, but at the same time, he's a gruff war veteran. So he's not used to living in America, but he is used to violence, essentially. And so that's kind of why they like this story and why they lean to this story so much. This is where more of the details come in too. The Rockstar New York team took thousands of pictures of the city of New York, not just the neighborhoods and the people, but also the skies above to see how they changed so they could recreate the weather and try to make it as accurate as possible. They went to nightclubs, restaurants, clothing stores, and they even they recorded sound as well as pictures. They hung plasma screen TVs at the Rockstar office in Edinburgh and sent them non-stop footage of New York. Just always something about New York playing so they can kind of get in the mood of being this is what we're trying to make. Kushner even talks about how they studied the architecture of the sewer system of New York.
I wonder how that helped.
Yeah, they got to have water drainage, it's important.
Guess.
So they reached out to the New York cab companies as well to get the right ratio of taxis to normal vehicles on the streets. They're we want to make sure we have enough taxis versus the amount of normal cars.
That makes a lot of sense. I took taxis a lot in that game, actually, because they were a really effective, fast travel method. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's great. And so, see, you used it, Tyler.
I did.
You were right in it.
I used the taxis. I didn't use the sewer system, I don't think, but...
That's like a Ninja Turtles kind of thing, I want to say.
That's for the canceled Rockstar Ninja Turtles game.
I wonder if they did the sewer system, though, to legitimately get, the right places to accumulate water and, where puddles are,
Oh.
That probably was what they. I mean, I'm speculating here. I don't really. The book points out the sewer system, so who knows? Maybe there's a whole underground sewer system you could explore that I've never discovered. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, we should study this and understand it, and then they were like, we have a very detailed map of the sewer system, and somebody's like, what are we gonna do with that? And they were like, well, nothing, I guess. And then they just threw it away and moved on, and we're like, but we studied it. We studied it.
Put it on the bulletin board to say we did it, and then move on. Yeah. That's great.
When they write books about this, we'll tell them we studied the sewer system.
They did that in advance for prep for this book. So they had 150 artists and programmers working on GTA 4, and they actually built a detailed map of New York City in 6 months. So they didn't break the game, but they made their map of New York City in 6 months, which is pretty remarkable. Yeah. Right? Like, that's pretty crazy to do. The game would take place over 5 boroughs of Liberty City based on the real-life boroughs of New York City. In the book, they use examples for Algonquin, which is Manhattan, and Broker, which is Brooklyn. Algonquin. How did I pronounce it? Algonquin?
Algonquin.
Algonquin. I don't know why I said it that way. Algonquin and Broker. The game also had Dukes, which is Queens, and then Bohan, which is the Bronx. Rockstar wanted to get the characters as accurate as they could, and they actually hired stylists to design virtual clothes for the game. One thing Kushner talks about that interests me a lot personally, because just from like my 3 or 4 hours of experience with GTA 5, is they actually focused a lot on just like banal scenes of city life. Like specifically when you're like sitting inside a nightclub or in a bowling alley or was waiting at the subway. Or I think you can even sit in your car while it goes through the car wash.
Yeah.
Like they just wanted to recreate that feeling of like you're just living life in this city and you do boring things sometimes.
To go back to the taxi thing that I was talking about, you have a couple of options when you get into a taxi. You can either just take the ride where you just like sit in the back seat and you talk to the taxi driver. You can push a button that like makes you hurry the taxi driver and it makes him like break laws while he's driving places. And I guess you can save some money doing that. And maybe there's a risk, like getting pulled over risk. I don't know. But then you can also just skip it entirely. It costs more, but you just skip it and it just like fades out and you show up where you meant to be. So if you want to take the cheapest route to get somewhere, you just sit in the back and you hang out with the taxi driver, which is very much a New York thing to do.
That's really funny. So yeah, again, there's just so much detail. I really like the description though of this stuff, and it actually makes me want to give the game another shot. Like it's
great. It's really worth it.
I started it like twice, I want to say, and I would always get bogged down in like the day-to-day events of it. But I think that's kind of an important piece of it that I was just ignoring with my like overactive video game brain of like I gotta go, right? And so what I'm gonna do is when it goes on sale, which I'm sure it will at some point on the Rockstar like engine,
it's on Steam.
Portal. It's on Steam, but then it goes through their portal.
Yeah.
Like whenever it's on sale through them, I'll probably pick it up because I just want to try it out and I want to really just like take my time with it.
Yeah.
Just go through it.
Yeah.
So GTA 4 had 2 DLCs that were exclusive to Microsoft at first, and GTA 4 also had online multiplayer. And since it was modern day, this is also the first GTA game to have you owning a cell phone in the game. So you would get texts and calls and you'd surf the web on your phone just like you do in real life. Not sure if that's better or worse if you're trying to like escape real life, but you know, it's there. It's a part of it. One thing I thought was cool is there's a TV in your apartment and you could watch like cable channels. They had like 3 actual channels with like history and like stand-up comedy on it. I think Ricky Gervais is a special on there. So it's kind of cool that they put that in for detail's sake. The budget for GTA 4 was the highest for a video game at that time, nearing $100 million. The environment was 4 times larger than any other GTA game. Even though it took place in one city, the area was actually the equivalent of 17 square miles.
It's technically smaller than the San Andreas map from GTA San Andreas. It's technically smaller, but I would say it's much more dense. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, so maybe they meant like verticality too, because there's a lot more of that in this game as well. So there were 18 radio stations, which was a record for GTA. They had 218 licensed tracks on those radio stations. Sam and Dan Houser paid an homage to their dad by including a proper jazz station, and they even had their dad playing saxophone in the game, which is really cool. There were 861 voice actors, which is just so many. And here's the real kicker, though. Okay, so here this like relates to what we've been talking about. So, quote. For GTA 4, Rockstar changed its once mod-friendly end-user license agreement to prohibit reverse engineering and copyright protection circumvention. As longtime Rockstar Geronimo Barrera told MTV News, "Are we going to have a hot coffee situation? Absolutely not." End quote. That's just straight from the book. So they've kind of done a big shift here, right? They're not mod-friendly anymore. They don't want people messing with their games. They're just going to have it come out the way it comes out, the way they want it.
Yeah,
in their
there's still
image,
a mod scene for 4, but it is not the way that 3, Vice City, and San Andreas were.
And my understanding, too, at least with playing Red Dead Online, is there's still modders for like their games, but they're very much breaking the game.
Oh, they're like cheating.
Red Dead Online is a mess.
Yeah, I think GTA Online
cheating.
is similar.
Yeah, and it's sometimes very funny because you'll just be riding your horse and then Thomas the Tank Engine will drive across the highway, which is great. But like that's funny, but they can also just like cheat and break the game too. So it's like okay, but you know that's just life. So also I'm pretty sure Rockstar they haven't given up on Red Dead Online, but they're not making any big changes to it. They're just kind of like doing some events every once in a while, and that's kind of it. Now. Back to the history. So 2008 saw a stock market crash, and I was in college at the time, mostly ignored it because I was in my own little bubble. Did you realize when it happened, Tyler? Were you paying attention?
Yeah, I did know that there was a stock market crash in 2008. Was I affected by it? No, I was not, because you have to have assets to be able to be affected by the stock market. It's probably indirectly affected by job prospects and that sort of thing. I did notice
that my tuition went up later on.
I think that's just how it is. I think tuition just always goes up.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that has to do with the crash. I think that's just life. I don't know. I was in my own little world. Like I didn't pay attention to anything in the news really at the time, except for the presidential election, just like being able to vote for the first time. You're like, this is so cool. And
yeah, that was the first election I voted into.
Yeah. So what's really important to us, though, about this 2008 financial crash is it did not affect GTA 4 sales at all. So the game released on April 29th, 2008, and it still, quote, broke the Guinness World Record to become the most successful entertainment product launch of all time, end quote. We're not just talking about games. We're talking about movies, TV shows. The game made $310 million on its first day alone, beating the Spider-Man 3 movie and the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows book. Probably not that hard to beat Spider-Man 3 critically. Am I right, everybody? Okay. GTA 4 outsold The Dark Knight 5-1. At the end of its first week, GTA 4 sold more than 6 million copies and made over $500 million.
Jeez.
Fun fact that I didn't know, apparently EA attempted to actually do a hostile takeover of Take-Two, and it failed this time.
Really?
They kind of like brush it off in the book, and I'm like, wait, what?
This is almost a very different world.
Yeah, right? GTA 4 was a huge success as well, which again makes me feel like critical success, which makes me feel like a ding dong for not giving it its due diligence when I didn't play it. But we'll kind of get into that later. So, also, much to the joy of Sam Houser, the game was being championed not on random claims of violence, but for just being a good game. Like the Sunday Times in London said, that's actually a quote from the book. So, quote, the Sunday Times in London said GTA 4 embodies the future of entertainment and called it the pinnacle of a British created phenomenon.
It's funny that it's making fun of the U.S. and is based in New York, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, and then the New York Times praised how the city is so much a love letter to New York City itself. It said, quote, it looks like New York, it sounds like New York, it feels like New York, end quote. So, like, there were some critics, like actual critics though, but they were mostly, according to the book, in the form of former Rockstar and DMA people. So Gary Penn, who worked on the original GTA as a creative director, said that, quote, GTA is so dour, end quote. Writer Brian Bagalow said, quote, it's become a serious franchise, end quote. So
the story was much more serious. Like,
yeah, they did. There was not as much humor in this one as, say, like the parody of Vice City and stuff. And
there was still a lot, though.
Yeah, it's just, again, I also don't know how much people are like negatively affected by their personal experiences too. Like, if you didn't like your time at Rockstar and then they came out with a game that was successful, maybe you're looking opinions about it. Yeah.
Yeah. The physics of it were a lot more realistic, and there were a lot of people I remember at the time complaining about how the cars like drove because it was a lot more realistic and maybe less fun because of that. And I tend to agree. I think what they did with GTA to bring back some of the goofiness in the physics was a good call.
With 5
Yeah.
versus 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So let me see. I've lost my place here. So yeah, Kushner points out though that good or bad reviews, GTA 4 had finally accomplished Sam and Dan Houser's goal of creating a livable universe players could experience. A fun side effect as well of this whole thing is that since they used the Oxford Euphoria engine, the university got royalties from the game. So they actually kind of gave Oxford more funding by using their Euphoria engine. Yeah, that's kind of nice. So the chapter ends with Sam Houser getting American citizenship and living in a nice brownstone in Brooklyn with his wife and kids. And he achieved his dream, like he did what he wanted to do. However, now he wanted more. And the book ends with a quote from Sam saying, quote, "What have I got left to achieve? Everything."
Yeah.
Very. So it's very much like a positive ending. And I would agree. I mean, we're not even brushing on Grand Theft Auto 5. So like there was so much more to do. And as we now know, like so they got so successful, so big. So it's like, yeah, but that's how chapter 25 goes.
Yeah. Well, GTA 4 was great. And the 2 DLCs that came out for it as well, Lost and the Damned, was like about a motorcycle gang. That was pretty cool. I think that character comes back in GTA 5 briefly. Spoilers. And then there was the Ballad of Gay Tony, which was very like neon. It felt like had kind of Vice City vibes to it. That's the one that I played and finished, and I really, really enjoyed that one. So highly recommend. 4, I never finished because there is one mission called Snowstorm, I think, that is too long and too hard, and like the point where I kept dying is like 45 minutes into this mission, and you gotta start the whole thing over because there's no checkpoints in vanilla GTA 4. Ballad of Gay Tony did have checkpoints in it, but vanilla GTA 4 did not, and I like did that a couple times, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
I wonder if the new version of it that is on Rockstar has checkpoints.
It does not. I keep checking in to see if I can find a mod or something that adds checkpoints to this game, and I can't seem to
like
find
a save
really
state.
anything.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it. Is you have to emulate it in save state.
Yeah, play the PS3 version in save state. I don't know. Does the PS3 emulator do save states? I can't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, that's nuts. Now I'm a little apprehensive. Maybe I'll play it up to Snowstorm and be like,
it's pretty close to the end too. It might be easier on PC if you're playing like mouse and keyboard too, because it was shootout stuff. So, or maybe I was just bad. This was also like 15 years ago that I probably last played this. Probably more than that. So maybe I'm just bad.
You have all that video game training now, though.
That's right.
So you're probably really good.
From all the other
GTAs.
GTAs.
One try on a DDR pad, you'll beat it.
That's right.
No problem.
Just like that guy who beat Dark Souls with a DDR pad.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we have one more chapter in this book then, and that's the epilogue, Outlaws to the End. Because remember, this book was published in 2013, 2012. So it was probably being written in 2010. So like right around the time Red Dead was being worked on. So there's really nothing GTA 5 in here. And of course, anything beyond that is right out. But the epilogue here is something that I do think is worth reading on your own. Even if you don't read the rest of the book, I think Kushner's take on how everything that happened at Rockstar contributed to the game industry and culture as a whole is like a pretty good take. Again, like I said, you got to read it. It's 10, 12 years old now. So the predictions he makes about where games are going are pretty good, actually. By this point, mobile gaming had hit pretty hard, and Kushner kind of talks about how this is sort of the future of the industry. And from a certain lens, he's totally true. When it comes to money, like the games that make the most money right now, they're all mobile games, and half of them are like stuff that you've never heard of because it's like Candy Crush that your mom plays and spends. And I don't know if your mom specifically plays. I just mean, generally speaking, you.
I don't think Jackie plays cell phone games. I should ask her though.
Yeah,
I'll follow up with that. I know the listeners want to know if my mom plays cell phone games. I'll see her tonight. I'll ask her. Okay, I'll
ask her if she
ask
plays any cell phone games. My mom will play like card games, solitaire and puzzle games, but she doesn't really spend money on that stuff. But there are a lot of people that play those games that spend a lot of money, and they don't even think of themselves as gamers, and technically they are. Anyway, so he talks a lot about how, hey, everything's going towards mobile, and that's true. Even though consoles and PCs are still around and like quote unquote real games are definitely still around, didn't like move to mobile. Mobile is the biggest. And this is a very North American centric viewpoint as well, because when you get outside of North America, you go into like China and Southeast Asia and stuff. That's all. They don't even have computers. They just, everything is done on their phone. And so that's where they play their games too. It's stuff is huge over there. So, like there's also mobile games at the time were like Angry Birds and stuff like that. So he calls it the Pac-Man of gaming. That's what I was getting at with the Angry Birds thing is like he calls it the Pac-Man of mobile gaming. And I think that's really accurate because it's like everybody's played Angry Birds just like everybody's played Pac-Man, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. That's a good summation of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
At least it's Angry Birds and not like Clash of Clans. This was before it got all microtransactions.
Yeah.
Although Angry Birds probably now has microtransactions.
Yeah.
Back then it was just
It did a little bit. I want to say the microtransactions, at least early on for something like Angry Birds, were like, you want to buy some more levels? Like, okay, I'll pay $5. You give me $5 worth of content. That's great. Or like special branded versions. I remember there was like a Star Wars Angry Birds that was like,
I bought the Star Wars one.
It's like $4. And you're like, yeah, I'll buy the Star Wars version so my old bird can have a Darth Vader helmet. That sounds fun. Mm-hmm. He also talks about motion controls, which by that point had already kind of fallen out of favor, but he is right that they'd pulled in a wider audience for games. Think of how many grandmas played the Wii, stuff like that. He talks about the Kinect and like the PlayStation Move and stuff like that. Those people probably are the ones playing mobile games these days. Even if they only played a couple rounds of Wii tennis, they're probably matching 3 on their Candy Crush right now. So GTA launched in 2008. You said it was the fastest selling game of all time. It was until Call of Duty Black Ops came out. And that was like 2 years later, a little over 2 years later.
Yeah.
But it seems like nowadays, like every year is like a new record happening, which is, I think speaks to more to the growth of the industry than like any particular giant game. But there is like at least one giant game every year, it seems like. And that's, I don't know how it works if you start adjusting for inflation, because we've had some pretty gnarly inflation the past few years. So like a game going up or a game dropping $1 billion now is not as impressive as it would have been in 2008, but still. This chapter also talks about Jack Thompson. He gets his comeuppance here a little bit. This is where everything sort of falls off the rails for Jack Thompson. After settling with Take-Two and agreeing not to contact them directly anymore, your boy gets around this by sending an open letter to Strauss Zelnick's mother, telling her in no uncertain terms that her son is basically a Nazi for selling games to kids and is destroying the fabric of our society. He's one of the big wigs at Take-Two. And so he's like, well, I can't contact you directly, but I can publish this open letter to your mom that tells your mom how terrible you are. And it's like, dude, you lost. Like, stop.
Yeah.
You're just truly just sad now.
Truly the definition of lost in the sauce, I would say.
Yeah.
He got space madness. As we say.
He got space madness, and he just kept doubling down on this. So it was for this, various other things. He finally got disbarred in 2008. He went too far, and the judge just told him to back off, and he's like, no, I'm going to not back off. I don't know what he wanted. Like, I don't know what he expected. If he just kept doubling down, that eventually he would win. Like, he wanted some vindication, I guess. Like, one day people are just going to wake up and be like, you know what? Jack Thompson, he's right. It's like, no, they're not just going to like wake up and destroy these games. They've been selling off the charts for the reason. And it's not because people want to have them banned or whatever he was trying to do. Like, dude, you lost.
Yeah. You messed up, man.
Yep. You goofed.
Yeah. It sucks too, because like, if you think about it, like, he could have still been a lawyer.
Yeah.
Still made money being a lawyer. Like, it could still be your job. Like, I think he did just get so wrapped up in the drama of it all, and like the pop culture nature of video game media, that it was just like he just couldn't stop. I don't know. It'd be interesting to ask him about that and be like, okay, like when you did that and you got disbarred, like, do you regret that decision? Would you have still done that open letter? Like, if you'd have thought about it and like sat and thought it through? Like,
yeah.
what?
It was he did a bunch of other stuff too. Like, it wasn't just that, but he kind of goes into that in that My Perfect Console episode. Mm-hmm. And the takeaway, at least from my recollection, is really he's just like, no, I wouldn't do anything different. I still think that I nailed it, and they got me on some technicalities, and that's why I got disbarred. And it's like, okay, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a book about this, because I think it seems to me through listening to that interview with him and reading this book, and I haven't done too much more outside research, but it really seems to me like he kind of let the fame and stuff get to him. Like, that's why he kept doing it, was because they kept putting him on TV. And so every time he said something outrageous, they kept putting him on TV. And then he was also like, was doubled by this sort of like righteous, like crusade that he was on, that made his like outrageousness feel maybe not as outrageous to him. And that's why he just kept doing it. I don't know. That's what I think. I think it's sort of like his head got too big and he failed because of it.
Lost in the Sauce.
Yep.
That's what he should call his memoir.
Lost in the Sauce. Jack Thompson story. Yeah. So Take-Two also settled the whole hot coffee thing for $20 million on top of the $25 million it took for them to recall the adult-only copies of GTA San Andreas. I don't know if any of those copies are around. I assume most retailers opted to send their copies back rather than like put an adults-only sticker on it. I'm sure there are copies that you can find of the version of the game that has the content on the disc. But it would be very interesting to find one that has that like AO sticker on it. I think that like can be confirmed as legit. It's sort of like there's the teen rated version of Oblivion. But then there were M-rated versions of Oblivion that were just a sticker put on the box because they weren't going to send them back over a T to M thing because they'll still sell M games at most stores, which I think is really interesting to like find. If you can find a copy that has the sticker on it, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's some talk in this epilogue as well about the crunch at Rockstar, something that's a pretty big problem, I would say, in the industry in general. Rockstar, especially at this time and later on, too, they don't really get much better, but they're one of the more egregious examples. There's a group of Rockstar wives that's like they were like an official sort of Facebook sort of deal, I guess. They sued. They got a few $1 million for this, but honestly, probably a drop in the bucket compared to the value that Rockstar got out of working those people ragged. But also I imagine that money doesn't really do that much to make it better. Like if somebody has burned out and stressed out, like getting a few $1,000, I don't know if that really makes that.
Yeah, it is going to make up
like
for
solve
all
the problem.
Pain you went through, like mental exhaustion.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember around the time LA Noire came out, which was published by Rockstar. There was similar stories about people at Team Bondi in Australia that were just like, they were running ragged developing this game, and Rockstar was just the publisher on that. So I don't know if they set unrealistic goals or what the deal was. I'm sure there's a deeper dive into the Team Bondi stuff from around that time, but I remember it being pretty bad around the time LA Noire came out. There were a few Rockstar alums that went on to start their own game companies. And at least at the time of the production of this book, it's pretty clear that none of them really went anywhere.
Yeah, we actually were asking about this when we talked about these people, what happened to them, and they give us some closure here. Remember, we were on the episode, like, I wonder if your game company did well. And it's like, spoilers, nope.
They did not. Yeah. So it's hard to say if that's because they were missing some kind of like Rockstar magic that didn't exist outside of the Rockstar walls, or if those companies deliberately tried to not be like Rockstar, because there's a reason they left. It's because they didn't like being there, and so they were trying to do things differently. And maybe that's why they didn't have that magic. Jamie King is quoted as saying, "You don't create something amazing that's easy." And maybe there's some truth to that. It seems, at least with the way that these companies went, they tried to do it a different way, and it seems like maybe it didn't work out, which is like kind of we'll get into like the big takeaways from this book, but that's what we're going to talk about. But Red Dead Redemption launched in 2010. Not really the subject of this book. Obviously, this is the outlaw story of Grand Theft Auto, not Grand Theft Equine, as we all called Red Dead Redemption before it came out. I remember talking about it. People joked about it in jest. Of course, we all knew this game was going to be awesome, but people kept calling it Grand Theft Horse, Grand Theft Equine. Yeah. But probably about this, at the time that this book was being written, there wasn't much to say about it and how it like affected the industry and culture, and also not the subject of this book. So yeah, it's always interesting to me with stories like this of companies. Like the really interesting ones are almost always from the beginning of the time where there are only a few people at that company. When they tell these kinds of stories, it's always like, yeah, when Rockstar was 10 people, or when Apple was just 6 people, like here are the great stories. You don't really hear about the tumultuous development at like the bigger megacorps anymore, unless it's like something super negative around crunch or something like that. It feels like the really good stories are always when it's just a few people doing something scrappy that puts them above their peers somehow. I think that's like, it's just because as humans, we always like an underdog story, right? And Rockstar at one point in time was an underdog. They're not that anymore. So I guess these kinds of stories are not as compelling. Or if you hear this kind of scrappy story coming out of this large megacorps, you go, but why did you do it that way? You didn't have to. You had millions of dollars in the backing of everything you needed. Like, you didn't have to do that, you know? So they end up being kind of uninteresting for that reason. But yeah, as we all know, GTA 5 dropped in 2013. Again, way beyond the scope of this book. But it also sold like hotcakes and gangbusters, further proving that there's something special that Rockstar's got going on that just makes them able to just ship bangers like this. And that I think GTA 5 is the most profitable entertainment property ever, something like that. With the way that it's sold, like GTA Online, they sell just shark cards forever and ever.
Do they separate those in their like as GTA 5 versus GTA Online? Because like
I
GTA
think so.
Online at this point has made way more than GTA 5.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's
GTA
considered
Online's,
separate in their minds.
GTA Online, like you said, it's a kind of a sleeper hit. Like they make so much money passively selling things in that game.
You never hear about GTA Online, but tons of people are playing it. I mean, you've played a bunch of it, haven't you?
I played some of it. I played more Red Dead Online like recently, but I played GTA Online when I got GTA 5 the first time, because I've bought this game 3 times now.
On 360?
On 360, and then I got it on Xbox One, and then I got it on PC recently. But it's like it's just huge because they have like these RP servers on there. Twitch also, I feel like, supports Grand Theft Auto online a lot, because there's people that play in these like exclusive RP servers where you're like role playing with people, and you gotta like know someone to get in, and it's like very popular for people to watch the drama and stuff unfold. It's like a TV show almost, so it's got that going for it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they've like that's what funded GTA 6 with GTA Online. Like that's how they funded the game. So
hey, that's great. Anybody got any great stories about GTA Online? Send them to us, because we'd love to talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, that's Jack, the Outlaw Story of Grand Theft Auto by David Kushner. I liked the book. I do think Masters of Doom was a little bit more fun. I think that group of people was smaller, and maybe the time period that it takes place in is a lot smaller as well. So I think at some point we should probably try to cover the history of Rockstar after this book. But at this point, it's really just GTA 5 and Red Dead 2, and maybe I feel like there was a couple other games that came out in there that are like Rockstar adjacent. Maybe LA Noire, I guess, probably counts. Things that were like published by Rockstar. I'm trying to think of other ones, but none are coming to mind. Yeah, I wonder if they have interesting stories behind the development, or if they're just like big machine made the game and there isn't really any great overarching story that's like publicly known for us to tell, but it'd be worth digging into. But
yeah, I mean, I kind of want to get into those games like Bully and The Darkness and stuff that were like, or not The Darkness, The Warriors.
Oh yeah, The Warriors.
Yeah, sorry, The Darkness was made by Machine Games. I was watching a no-clip documentary on Machine Games. Very good, by the way. Watch it if you want to. It's good. Yeah, so I would like to play those games at some point, because I want to give those a try. But I also feel like GTA 5, we could do a history on that once GTA 6 comes out, because it's crazy to think GTA 5, the development of that was like 12 years ago.
I know. Yeah, it came out so long ago.
Away.
It's a retro game, even though it's like still very relevant. Like if you fire up that 360 version, that's, I mean, by some definitions, that's retro, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. So we can definitely cover that. But I agree with you that I think as far as like books go, I preferred Masters of Doom better, because it was like, it had that scrappiness that you were just talking about going on longer. You know what I mean? Like id was a lot more, id acted like rock stars. You know what I mean? Like realistically, so what it makes for more inherently interesting things. Although I do love the cheese ball contests.
That's true. I wonder if they still do that every year.
I hope so.
Me
I
too.
hope so. But we have some final thoughts here, and this question is such a big question that we got to get into it right now.
Yeah, this is the biggest question I think that this book sort of draws out or asks us, and this is something that I hope people will email us about as well, but it's like the cost of great work, and is it worth it? And there's one angle you can take on this where you say, you look at the final product and you go, wow, that was really, really amazing. Sort of the ends justify the means. I'm sorry that it hurt you to make this, but like, boy, did you make something great, right? You can take that stance. I'm not saying I take that stance, but you can take that stance and go, hey, yes, this was totally worth it because of all the greatness. But what do you do with that information now that you've decided that this is worth it? Do you then, like when you go to make another thing, do you say, well, it's all going to be, the sacrifice is going to be worth it? Because we don't hear about all the things that didn't happen, but still had great cost, right? We read about games like GTA that were like, oh yeah, development was awful, everything was terrible, or it was all great, or whatever, and the game came out and it was awesome. And so everybody who was part of it was like, yeah, we did it. It was hard, but we did it. But then what about those games that got canceled that everybody crunched on and then they got canceled? And it's like, was that worth it? Probably not. But how do you make then, like, how do you make that decision then when you're deciding, is this going to be worth it? And you don't know what the cost is going to be when you go into something like this. If somebody told you, here's what you're going to make and here's what it's going to cost, you might be able to look at that and go, okay, that's worth it. But when it goes, we don't know what you're going to make, could be bad. Also, we don't know what the cost is going to be, could also be bad. Like, I don't know how do you make that decision,
I think that it's kind of nice because we have a very good example of this right now, like on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is Silksong just came out. And that was 7 years, 3 people developing the game, not really crunched, but working hard, I would say, it sounds like. And that's a good, to me, like cost benefit comparison, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not like, yeah, it took that long because it took that long and that was good versus, yeah, sure, this game was great, but it came out and you made your employees' lives miserable. Like, I think about Call of Duty a lot too, because this is a story time, my little story time. When I lived in Los Angeles, I had a roommate who was a contract employee for Call of Duty, I think for Infinity Ward, and their life seemed bad to, like, while they were working on the game, like just full 14, 15-hour days. Like, they were a great roommate because they were never home. Like, it was like kind of crazy. And I often wonder, like, is it worth it? Like, is that worth the money? I don't think so. I don't think if your employees are having a bad time, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you'd have to ask them too. That's the other thing, is like, we can sit here and like try to decide if it was worth it or not. It's like, well, I didn't make the sacrifice, I just played the game at the end. So
yeah. Or you think about like all those people that worked really hard, just using Call of Duty as an example. Like, a lot of people consider Call of Duty Ghosts to be one of the worst Call of Duties, and people crunched on that game.
Oh yeah, so people's lives were ruined over that, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they're working super hard, and then the game comes out, and they're waiting for the reviews to come in, and everyone's like, this thing's terrible. And it's like, I just worked so hard for a year for that to come out, and it's just, yeah. So I don't think it's worth it. I personally kind of like the idea of these studios. Like, I like that Rockstar's taking this long for GTA 6. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Give it some more
hopefully
time.
They're not crunching, because they could also still be crunching and taking a long time. That's the other thing, is like, you hear about these delays, and the delays often to the people who are crunching on a thing, they are not relieved when they hear their game is delayed.
No,
They go, GTA 6 got delayed by 6 months. You mean I have to crunch for 6 more months? Like, because the pace of work doesn't slow down because of that. They don't go, we're going to delay by 6 months, and also now you can go back to 8-hour days. It's, no, we're delaying by 6 months. Keep doing what you're doing.
Ugh. So yeah, maybe it's not good. I don't know. See, and maybe it's my naive brain of like being like, well, maybe they get some time off now. And it's like, no, you don't get time off.
No.
So.
They're not giving you time off. If they had to delay the game, like, you get time off when the game comes out, maybe, or you get fired if you're a contract employee.
I think it's just because too of the money making potential of video games was a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
because people saw with Rockstar how much money they could make, and they're like, oh, well, in that case, we just need to start these crunch factories where one of them is going to hit, like Rockstar's did, and then we'll be fine. So it's like, I don't think it's ever worth it. I think that's also right now, and this is a personal opinion, where we're definitely watching games go up to like $70 or $80 is pushing me in the indie direction more. And that's the kind of games I'm looking at now. Like, I'm not really looking at games that are like AAA or quadruple A, although we also had how that turned out. And
rest in peace, Perfect Dark.
Yeah, rip. But I think we're going to see a shift in gaming here where like people are still going to always buy Call of Duty, don't get me wrong, but people that play a lot of different games or are really vested in this culturally are going to start moving in the indie direction, I think, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And like, I don't tend to buy games at full price when they're $70, $80. Nintendo games are a little bit of an exception because I know they never go on sale, which is probably why they never put them on sale, is so they can keep guys like me making the same decisions. But I will often wait for games to go on sale. Like, I don't really buy stuff day one unless it's like, I probably buy like 1 or 2 day one games a year. That's like it.
Mm-hmm. It's patient.
Everything else
time.
is I just wait. Yeah. Because stuff goes on sale all the time. Or it hits Game Pass, and that's nice.
Ooh, that is nice. That's a good thing to do. I love that. Well, with that said, Tyler, I'm going to move us to the next segment. What you been playing?
I've been playing 2 games. 1 game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Very fun. I am having a great time with it. The smashing mechanic and sort of digging is very well done. It's something that I have not really seen any other games do, or at least not make the main gameplay focal point of it. It's like a very sort of standard platformer, except that that's the gimmick, is that you're constantly like smashing things and destroying stuff and building, like if there's something blocking your way, you could just punch through it like 99% of the time. And then there's some cool power ups, and like you're going around trying to get bananas, and the game is organized into layers of like, you're like digging to the planet's core basically, which is, I don't know, it's really fun. It's a little weird when you like get to the next layer and it has a sky, but whatever. We don't ask too many questions, you know?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm not really worried about it. Having a lot of fun. I like that Pauline is the sidekick character. She sings a lot.
That's cool.
So there's a little bit of bringing her back from, I guess she was in Super Mario Odyssey, but she's the original person being kidnapped in the very first Donkey Kong. Mm-hmm. So it's fun to have her like riding around on Donkey Kong's back, and they're fun, they're friends and stuff. So I've been playing that, and then I do dip my toes into Destiny Rising a little bit. I played on my Retroid Pocket 5, but occasionally I'll play it on my iPad as well. I have a controller I synced up to my iPad. Feels good. It feels like a Destiny game. It is just to the gills with gacha mechanics. Like, it is full on a mobile game. But at least running around playing the game is fun, because it's just Destiny. Shooting stuff is fun, and it will never not be fun, and I'm having a great time with it. Not going to spend any money on it. But I have kind of hit some power walls a little bit, where it is sort of like, yeah, you can keep grinding this out, or if you like spend a little bit of money, you'll be able to upgrade your stuff, and then your whole number will be high enough to do this thing. I'm like, I'm not really going to do that, but I am having fun shooting stuff. So
third person, right? Yeah,
it does have a first person mode as well.
Oh, okay,
so I've been playing first person. Yeah, I've been playing it first person.
That's rad. Well,
that's what have you been playing?
I've been playing Helldivers 2. I'm back in it again. I'm having fun. It's just
spreading
kind of
democracy.
It's a fun game to just kind of do a couple. Like, I hit R and I just quick play with some randoms, and I jump in missions and I call it, and I'm good. And then I've also been playing Silksong, and I just beat. Well, I'm going to say the names of these bosses. That's not really spoilers, because it doesn't mean anything to people that haven't played the game, right? If I say that. Yeah, so I just beat the Savage Beastfly, which is a very upsetting boss that I figured out. And then I've just hit Sister Splinter. That's where I'm at in the game. I really like it. It is, I would say, it's more platformy than Hollow Knight was. At least I remember. But I don't mind it, and I'm actually having a good time. But I'm also not like hardcore burning through it like always. I'm kind of taking my time with it, which I think is good. Like, for example, last night I was dying a lot to that Savage Beastfly boss, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to bed, wake up tomorrow morning, try it again, and sure enough, beat the second or third try when I did that. So, but I really dig it. And again, like, the story of just like 3 people making a game. It took them 7 years to do it, but they made a great version of a game that's like very like related to the original, while also adding some new mechanics to it. Like, I feel like it's a great sequel in that way. Like, they did a really good job.
That's great.
Versus just putting out another Hollow Knight. Like, it just feels, the healing mechanic's really cool. The crests are really cool. Like, it's just got a lot of stuff going on that makes me enjoy it, and it's on Game Pass, so that's pretty sick.
Can't go wrong.
Too.
I never played the original Hollow Knight, and it's one that I know I'll enjoy. It's just, I never got around to it.
It's good. I didn't get the good ending in the original Hollow Knight, because by the time I got to the final boss and I beat it, I was just kind of done, and I didn't really want to go explore. And there's a lot more to do. And my understanding with Silksong is there's also a lot more to do. Like, there's like, you can beat the boss and get the bad ending, or you can just like go through and do everything else and then get a better ending. It's just, they kind of do it. But the game is really fun, and it does feel like you really get better, which is one of those things where you're just like, oh, I can feel the improvement, and that feels really good. So yeah, I mean, I love Silksong. If you have any opinions on Silksong or any of the games we talk about, send us an email, codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. You can go to codexpodcast.net. That's our website there. And then that's got all our Discord and everything on there for us to join. And with that, I think that's good. We did it, Tyler, right?
I think we did it. We made it through the book. So anybody who's been skipping all of our Jacked episodes, they will no longer have to skip any episodes. Yeah. I don't think anybody's doing that. Nobody's skipping any episodes.
Nah, I don't know what we're doing now. No, I have no idea what we're doing next. This is going to be kind of exciting. We got to kind of figure that out. Yeah. So, but with that, Tyler, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. I have to find the button.
Flawless execution.
Flawless.